auditory impact. 10 seconds there. 4, 2, ball pre-record on my count. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, roll A, fade up on A.
We're ready to go into fast time if you are.
Live from the authority of South Florida, The Rich Stevens Show starts right now on News Talk 850 WFTL.
As the Democratic National Convention rolls on, the Democrats continue their onslaught of racially themed rhetoric. They also continue to paint this picture of a divided America and how the country is either black or white. What they're really doing is attempting to further divide in an attempt to control the population. Case in point, the mothers of the movement, the Black Lives Matter people who are playing right into their agenda. Former New York City Mayor Rudy Guliani knows all about this and joins us here on the Rich Stevens Show today. Mr. Mayor, thank you for being here. It truly is an honor.
Well, it's a great pleasure for me also to be with you. Thank you.
I appreciate your time. I know you're like me, huge supporter of our law enforcement. Mr. Mayor, the message that the DNC is putting out there is very dangerous to law enforcement. Can you comment on this?
It is. I don't think people realize how bad. First of all, beginning with only putting on the mothers of people who were shot by police officers, some justified, some unjustified, but no women who have lost their husbands, whether it would be in Baton Rouge or Dallas or Philadelphia. There are widows here in Philadelphia.
I think if they had done that, that would have sent a much more powerful message. Instead, it was the complete opposite.
I'm going to tell you something nobody's covering on the major news networks that are all pro-Clinton, disgustingly pro-Clinton. I have been told by police officers of the Philadelphia Police Department, all of whom come up to me and congratulate me and thank me and want to take pictures with me, that they have not been allowed to be on the floor of the convention because Hillary Clinton doesn't want uniforms on the floor of the convention. Now I want you to think back at your watching the convention. Did you see any uniformed police officers on the floor of the convention?
That's a great point. Not only did I not see any American flags, but I didn't see any police officers. You're right.
Well, if they had this convention in New York, they wouldn't be allowed to have it if the New York City Police Department wasn't policing it. Because if somebody gets killed, my police department is going to get blamed for it. I want to be there to be able to stop it. So there's a good reason that the police chief of Philadelphia got a chance to speak here, because he caved into them. Any police chief worth his badge would say, the heck with you, my cops are going to be in there if you like it or not. They don't want uniformed police officers in here because it'll offend people, just like they booed Secretary Panetta when he talked about defending ourselves against ISIS. Just like they don't know what Semper Fi means when Kane used it. This is an anti-police, anti-military, socialist gathering. And if you hang around with them, and I have, these are extremely left-wing people. This is as far left as the Democratic Party has ever gone. Anti-police, anti-military, anti-religion. When the poor minister came out to give the benediction last night, I think it was just me and the people at Fox who stayed around for the prayer. I mean, everybody else walked out. And also, how can you have this convention and a Catholic priest had his head chopped off by Islamic terrorists 2 days ago? The Pope yesterday said that the world is at war. The Pope said the world is at war. And in these happy talk speeches that they give, they haven't even mentioned that. Not one time. They haven't taken a minute of silent prayer for that poor priest who had his head chopped off at the altar. Hey, we're going back to the 7th century when you do that.
Yeah, not one mention of it whatsoever. We're talking to Mayor Rudy Guliani. Has the process always been this bad, or has it just gotten to a point where we didn't notice it as much until now?
The process is much worse, and we've had a president that's been the worst president in my lifetime. And we've had a Secretary of State. I mean, the idea that she's the best qualified person to be president of the United States, she's the least qualified person to be president of the United States. She's the person who was extremely careless in the handling of national security information. If I were Secretary of State and I would try to hire her as an undersecretary, the CIA wouldn't allow me to do it because she couldn't pass a security clearance because she has been careless with thousands of pieces of national security information.
Do you believe, Mr. Mayor, that there's even more that we don't know about at this point?
I 100% believe it, and that's why I think they panicked when Donald Trump was joking around yesterday about the Russians finding it. Oh, by the way, the Russians don't have to find it. They have it.
And what about the WikiLeaks, the voicemails that were released late last night? What does that tell us?
What that tells us is these people have a pattern of recklessness with regard to securing information. She was reckless with national security information. She was reckless with the information of the DNC. Whoever hacked a DNC computer, and I happen to be in the cybersecurity business. My company, Giuliani Partners, and my law firm, Greenberg Traurig, does cybersecurity in many parts of the world, not just in America. So I'm talking to you now as an expert, not just as a political talking head.
And not only are you an expert in that field, Mr. Mayor, but speak to me about the fact that all of this could have been prevented, no?
Well, absolutely. There are defenses against all of it. If they were inside the DNC for a year, 1 year, and they didn't detect it for 1 year, I don't know who they're using to do their cyber defense, but they should sue them. 1 year? Now, if they could get into the DNC computer, which is a definite upgrade on the computer she had sitting in her garage or wherever the heck it was, which is many generations earlier, that computer, a kid could hack. I mean, I know plenty of kids that could hack that computer.
Yeah, so now technology is upgraded in the last few years, obviously, so it should be harder. In fact...
And by the way, defenses have upgraded in the last 4 or 5 years. A kid could have gotten into her computer. If a kid can get into her computer, you're darn right, the Russians, the Chinese, the Germans, the Israelis, and by the way, don't get all upset. I got to believe we do it too.
We're talking to Mayor Rudy Giuliani. You know, real quick on this Russian hack comment yesterday, I took that as a joke. The mainstream media is running with this as if it should be held on treason. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, first of all, it was. I got a call immediately from the campaign to say that he was going to correct it as soon as he got off the plane when he realized that it wasn't being taken as a joke. And he did. He said, if they get this material, they should give it to the FBI, which is actually right. That's what they should do. They should give it to the FBI. Number two, I don't know what the Democrats are so concerned about if they believe Hillary. They obviously don't believe her. She says all it contains is stuff about her yoga, Chelsea's dress. So where's the national security?
It doesn't add up. You know, Mr. Giuliani, the Democrats seem to be running on hope once again, according to everything I heard from the president last night.
Democrats know that in those 35,000 emails is the connection between all the money, the hundreds of millions that the Clinton Foundation and Bill Clinton was getting for speaking fees, and the favors she was doing for the companies and the governments, including Russia, that he was getting money from. The only people in this campaign who've gotten money from Russia are the Clintons.
It's pretty amazing.
Trump's never done business in Russia.
Mr. Giuliani, have you noticed how the mainstream media has been portraying the DNC? I mean, every time we see the cameras cut away from the speaker, who they're showing in the audience?
Yes.
So it's not just me noticing this.
I've watched the whole thing very carefully. I've also watched the fact that they have not pointed out that there's not a single uniformed officer in this convention, that they did not point out the first night that there were no flags. It had to be pointed out to them. That they didn't point out that in the first night they never even mentioned ISIS. Now they've mentioned it once or twice. They do not focus on the fact. They didn't focus on the fact that there's still been no answer to all the issues raised about her. There's been no defense of her, and Bill Clinton gave a speech that went on about 30 hours. I can't remember now. I fell asleep during the second half, but then I went back to listen to it. Never once during that speech did he ever say the words "the Clinton Foundation." Now, that's their biggest enterprise, right?
Right.
They're paying out hundreds of thousands to Huma Abedin and Cheryl Mills and all these political operatives. 10% of the money goes to charity. 90% goes to flying them around the world and paying off their political operatives. He never mentioned the Clinton Foundation as one of the good things she's done. You know why? It's not one of the good things she's done. It's one of the things that if somebody could get to investigate that fairly, she'd probably get indicted for. I believe that the Clinton Foundation is a racketeering enterprise.
Well, I hope somebody points that out. Mr. Rudy Giuliani on the Rich Stevens Show today. I have a couple more questions for you. I know you're on a tight schedule today. I appreciate you taking time to be here on the show. What would you tell people that are still undecided at this point?
I would say I'd answer the question the way I answered it a few days ago in a diner that I was in. A man came up to me and said, I'm having a hard time between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. I said, well, what's your problem? He says, well, I like Donald, but I think he's politically incorrect. And and Hillary, I don't like. She's a crook, but I don't know. She has more experience. I said, I'd rather go with the politically incorrect, honest person and not the crook. And by the way, her experience is all bad, not good, right? She screwed up Libya. She messed up Iraq. She messed up Russia with a reset of her relationship with Russia. She lied over her emails. She destroyed emails. She put national security information at risk. I can't imagine a Secretary of State doing any worse than her.
How important is Florida in this election?
Vital. I consider Florida vital to winning this election, as it was, in the Bush elections. And I am a part-time resident of your great state. I've had the honor to campaign for Governor Scott and for Marco Rubio and for Jeb Bush when he ran for governor. I've campaigned there many times. And I've actually always done much better there as a surrogate than as a candidate because I lost the primary to John McCain when I ran for president. But I think I've done a pretty good job. I think if you ask Governor Scott, he'll tell you I've done a pretty good job campaigning up and down Florida. And by the way, it never takes much to get me to come down when the candidate calls and says, hey, would you like to come to Miami? Would you like to come to Fort Lauderdale? Would you come to Palm Beach? Would you like to come to Naples?
Well, I'll tell you what, Mr. Giuliani.
It's a little different when they say Saskatchewan, you know?
Right, yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to wait about a month or so. I'm going to call you back and I'm going to say, Mr. Giuliani, will you come down to South Florida and be on the Rich Stevens Show? Come right in the studio.
I've got a condo down in South Florida, and you're going to see a lot of me.
I can't wait. I look forward to it, and hopefully you will come in the studio next time. Before I let you go, have you heard this about the DNC hiring minorities to fill the seats? Have you heard that?
I have not. I have not heard that.
There's a posting on Craigslist that has been confirmed to be legitimate where they say we are looking for 30 enthusiastic people of Asian, Latin, African, or Indian descent to fill empty seats here at the convention. Must be willing to hold signs, clap, and to cheer during particular speeches. Please respond for additional information. In fact, it does go back to the DNC.
Well, I don't know the answer to that. I don't know the answer. I do know that I found their booing of Secretary Panetta to be booing on military, their response to Semper Fi to be disgraceful, and their treatment of police officers to be nothing short than convincing me that the Democratic Party is now the anti-law and order party.
Who is protecting, if there's no uniforms inside the convention center, who's protecting them?
They are Secret Service in plain clothes, and possibly Philadelphia police in plain clothes, but no uniforms.
Do you think tonight we might see some uniforms and or some more flags on the stage?
When we screamed about the flags, they got 2 or 3 flags. Notice they're way off in the corner.
Yeah.
Like you only notice the flags when the person comes on or out. We don't want to show the flag too much. I mean, it may offend somebody.
It's very disgraceful. Rudy Giuliani, it has truly been an honor to have you on the Rich Stevens Show. Thank you so much for your time this morning, and look forward to seeing you here in the studio on the Rich Stevens Show soon.
Take care.
Thank you. Have a great day.